Hi, everybody. This is Susan Adams, and I'm a life and health coach with Apricot Tree Nutrition. How is everybody? I'm glad to see you here. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget, we're always here on Mondays at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Well, I don't know about you, but with being in quarantine for so long, some are still locked down. And, I know that if you're like me, you're starting to feel it. I mean, have you felt like there's a little bit of depression? Maybe there's a little bit of sadness. You're like dying for a movie, or you're dying to go do something with a bunch of friends or get together at a restaurant. I know a friend of mine said they were just dying to go to get a steak dinner at a restaurant somewhere. We were talking about gluten. I think they said, let's go get some gluten at a restaurant somewhere. So, anyway, if you are struggling with like a little bit of depression, maybe a little bit of tears, maybe just that longing to be held or to hold somebody, or maybe you're just really needing that touch, and I don't mean just any hug. I think you understand what I'm saying. Well, for some of you who are married, you have an advantage for those of us who are single. And so you have someone constantly there. And there are parents that are single and married and that have kids, but it just isn't the same, right? Well, human touch is human touch, but there are certain different types of bonds that help our immune system. Well, first of all, let me tell you about this week. This last week was kind of rough for me because I've been on that roller coaster and I thought I was going crazy. And I called a friend and I was weepy, and I had to reach out to my coach buddies and say, hey, what's going on with me? And I explained it, and she said, you got skin hunger. Plain and simple. I'm like, what is that? Skin hunger, it's another explanation, another description for having a deprivation of touch. Your skin is the largest organ on your body, and it's a textile organ. So it needs that sensual stimulation through touch. Without it, well, a lot of things can happen. With it, some pretty amazing things can happen. So let me explain. First of all, skin hunger comes when we are low in what's called oxytocin. Oxytocin is what's called a neurohormone. It's a neurotransmitter and a hormone. It's kind of like an adaptogen that your body makes. Now, this little powerhouse hormone and neurotransmitter does more for your body than you could possibly imagine. It will help induce sleep. It helps your happiness, it helps your neurotransmitters in your brain to function properly. It brings up your dopamine and serotonin. It helps you with bonding when you have a relationship with somebody. It helps you with healing. If you cut yourself open and you're low in oxytocin, your body's going to heal really, really slow. It is a major part of your immune system. Without oxytocin, you could literally die. You've heard of the study years ago that they did where they had two groups of orphan babies and they separated them. Half of them got love and attention and the other half didn't. And the other half, they got fed, but they were never touched. And that group died. You can, if it's prolonged long enough, actually die of love starvation. And that is why it is so important for you to get touched by your skin, to be touched physically. It's really important. So let me explain. When you are sensually touched on your skin, there's a chain reaction in your body that actually starts a cascade of healing, neurotransmitters, and chemical reactions. And those things can help really improve your health, your mental abilities, your emotional state. It can help your healing. It can help your sleep. It can help a lot of things. And it's really important that we get that. Now, during COVID-19, okay, we had to do some shelter in place. It was really hard for some people that were living alone that are either empty nesters or single people. And it's been really hard on our kids. If you're a parent, you've seen it. Your kids begin to withdraw. They're starting to have emotional issues. They're turning to food all the time. Maybe you're turning to food all the time. Well, let me tell you what oxytocin also does. It also subsides your hunger for addictions. That means cigarettes or tobacco, or whether it's alcohol, maybe it's food, maybe it's a sexual addiction. It will help you. Now, oxytocin is released in our body at the highest when we are having more intimate affection, especially with someone that we are bonded to, like our husband. And the stronger the bond, the more oxytocin is released. Now, it's really important to understand that during this time when our kids are isolated from their friends and they're not going to school and not seeing a lot of humans, it's super, super important for us to touch them. We've seen a increase of suicide, especially lately. There are more suicides than you would be surprised that you would know. And it's super important that we protect our kids. Now, first of all, let me say a side note. If you own a firearm, make sure it is put in a lockbox with your fingerprint. If you don't have one, you need to get one. Don't leave it out. That is obvious and common sense. Some people don't think about it. Regardless of how trustworthy your kids are, your teenagers are, it's super important that that is locked away because of our situation. When chemicals change in our body, regardless of our intentions or how good or bad a person we are, things can make our minds go awry. So if you see some illness, make sure that you reach out to someone you trust, get some advice. And if it comes to a point where you are really concerned about someone you love in your home, make sure that you reach out to the suicide hotline. Okay? All right. So when you're at home with your family, your kids are isolating themselves in their room. I know that my teenagers are. I have four kids. I have 3 kids and then an adopted one and 2 at home and 2 gone. And I love my children and they love me. But when you're stuck at home, it's hard to be around each other all the time. So we have a tendency to isolate ourselves from each other. Now, that being said, if you don't spend time actually touching people in your home, whether it's your spouse, your brother, sister, mother, grandfather, kids, parents, whatever it is, at least hug them twice a day and hold on to that hug for 60 seconds. It may feel uncomfortable, but the lasting effects of that hug will supply them with oxytocin for a couple of days. Keep it going, because if you get sick during this time and you have been isolated without a good supply of oxytocin in your system, you are more apt to get sicker and not survive the COVID-19 than you would be without that than you would be. Okay, so it's really important that you get some sensual touch. Make sure that you get that that skin hunger taken care of. Okay, reach out to someone. If it's your kids, here's something that you should know about your children as they grow up. Now, there are adults, and I have seen this a lot as a single person and dating. I've seen a lot of single people that really struggle with bonding. Well, it's really important as a child to have a strong touch and bond with their parents on a regular basis. Kids who have gone through abusive situations and then grown up to be adults, oftentimes, 9 times out of 10, have a difficulty bonding to others because they didn't grow up with a good supply of oxytocin. They ended up with being more sexually active as a young person and also struggling with social situations as well as bonding in a healthy way as adults later on. So if you want to set your kids up for a healthy lifestyle as adults with healthy relationships, give them all of that physical love that you can give them, all of the hugs, all of the affirmations you can possibly give them. I hope that you're making it through this. There is a couple of things that I also did this week that also helped me. When you've got that lower level of oxytocin in your system and you don't know why you feel this way. I woke up one day and I was just teary and insecure. And, people who don't understand skin hunger, they just kind of pass that. Well, you just need to change the way you think. That's like asking a zebra to change their stripes. Now, I am a highly sensitive person. I am empathic. And so I feel emotions from people around me. And sometimes it's people I bonded to. There is a spiritual connection. This is a real thing. And so you're pretty much telling me to change my stripes and saying it's not going to happen. So I had to figure out a way to compensate for that. I reached out to people I love that I can't see, and I cried on the phone, literally. And just let it out. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel that way. And it's okay to acknowledge that you feel that way. Just don't stay there. And I just needed some affirmation and acknowledgement, encouragement. And because I still couldn't get that touch, because I was still missing that touch, there were some other things that I learned to do this week. And I want to share those with you. Not just hugging, but also in bringing up my mood. Now, you've heard me talk about frequencies. There are different types of frequencies. There's sound audible frequencies, there's inaudible frequencies, and then there are electromagnetic frequencies. And our body runs on electromagnetic frequencies. We have different frequencies for every single organ and tissue in our body that are communicating with the rest of the body. Okay. And if we have that interference, I've talked to you about this before. Okay, it screws up our EM field in our system, and our organs are struggling to communicate. And so we have these chemical off balances, and it cascades. Okay, so that being said, all summed up really quick. I have a friend of mine, Macy, and she was showing me the Healy. The Healy is a really cool device, and it's developed in Germany, and it's coming to the United States. I'll let you know when it's released. But it's a little device that you connect to your phone on an app, and you put it on your. It's kind of like your smartwatch, except it's way, way, way more advanced, and it gives off electromagnetic pulses into your system that will help correct some of the imbalances that you have, and it also helps with pain and healing. And I will talk to you more about that at another time. It's a very cool device, but I don't have one. And I was talking to Macy about it, and she said, "Well, do you mind me reaching out to somebody else?" Well, I was like, I need something now. So I had heard about frequencies through music, and sure enough, on Google Play Music, which is what I'm a part of, a membership of both Google Play Music as well as Prime Music, and it's on both. It's also on YouTube. And it is, it's 9 frequencies for emotional and physical healing. And it's a very cool little album, and it has different frequencies for different things. And there's 2 of them in that album that was for 528 hertz, which is for depression. Well, I played those 2 songs, and immediately all of that depression lifted. Now, that sounds crazy, right? I challenge you to give it a try because it really made a difference. It's happened to me twice, and it's worked twice. So it totally worked this morning too. I woke up in kind of a slump, kind of a meh, I'm feeling it today. And I just couldn't seem to get on top of it. The caffeine wasn't working. So what did I do? I turned on that frequency music. In the background of music, they play a frequency that you can hear it a little bit, but it's not super audible. And it really makes a difference in correcting the deficiencies and misalignments in your frequency in your body to help your emotions and your chemistry work at an optimal level. It really does help with emotional healing. So I encourage you to try it. I will leave a link underneath this video when I share it so that you can see what I'm talking about. I love you guys so much. I hope you're doing great. And I hope that you are doing well and that you made it through this with flying colors. And if you're still looking for a job, I am praying for you. Be diligent. I know that you're going to make it. Don't worry. Help is coming. And I'm right here beside you, helping you and supporting you and loving you. So I hope that you have a great rest of this week. And if you want to know more about how to improve your health and reduce pain or naturally heal for a happier, healthier you, you can reach out to me at apricottreewellness.com, and that's with one T, apricottreewellness.com. If you are still in need of a mask, we are still making masks. They are well-fitting, durable masks, both now bamboo and cotton, and you can find them at apricottreenutrition.com. They're also on our apricottreewellness.com website. So if you need any support, if you want just a 30-minute time frame to talk at me, I'm available. I will give you a free consultation. It's a one-time consultation. Just give me a ring. Go visit my website and contact me through that. The email as well as my phone number is on there, and we can schedule a time to talk, and you can just unload how you're feeling, and maybe we can find a strategy on how to help bring you to a new level of you, maybe resolve some health issues, and find your happier, healthier self. I love you so much. This is Susan Adams, and I will see you on the other side of the sunshine. Bye, everybody.